Coming up next on Not the 9 to 5 podcast.
So I wouldn't say it's completely unrealistic, eat, pray, love, but there's elements of it that's, you know,
yeah,
true. Especially if you're a writer and like you're travelling. I feel like for writers, that's
writing it's much easier.
I should have had the popcorn, but then you'd be like, you're making a mess,
You always make a mess, take it home. They all live in these huge ass apartments in New York.
Yeah, because that's realistic.
Yeah, sure. And I thought, oh my god, of course he's a freelancer, he's an actor.
You landed like a better job,
Yeah.
a better paid job.
Oh yeah, I'm
I can go treat myself.
Yeah, definitely. Don't let the setbacks set you back. Welcome to Not the 9 to 5,
The podcast for freelancers
by freelancers.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out,
Join us as we share insights, tips and stories.
to help you thrive in the world of independent work.
I'm Kat.
And I'm Francesca.
We are two freelancers exploring the highs, lows
And everything in between. So grab your coffee, kick back,
and let's dive into another episode of Not the 9 to 5.
Katheryn Siggers.
Francesca Marago.
Freelancing in pop culture is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, we just wanted to remind you to get closer to the action and follow us for more behind the scenes content on our socials at nottheninetofivepod on Instagram and TikTok. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Not the 9 to 5 podcast, and also subscribe to our Spotify and Apple or wherever you get your podcasts online. You'll never miss a beat with us. We're on every platform.
Okay, let's break it down.
Yeah.
Is freelancing in pop culture true or false? Is it fact or is it just fiction?
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to start us with Fleabag.
Okay.
Did you watch that show?
I know the play, actually.
Oh, I
Yeah.
saw the play,
Yeah.
but not in person. I saw it in the cinema. It was very good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, you know, Fleabag is a cafe owner and there's real struggles with money in the episode where she's like, I don't know how I'm going to, in the series where she's like, I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet.
So people who haven't watched Fleabag, what is it about?
It's about Fleabag, who is a person. She doesn't have a name. That's
she's
her
called
name.
Fleabag,
She's
yeah.
just called Fleabag.
Yeah.
And she owns a cafe and her friend dies, who she owns the cafe with, and she gets like run over by a car. I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but most people have seen Fleabag.
Yeah.
So the friend dies, but I think she commits suicide.
God.
Because her boyfriend, she found out her boyfriend had cheated on her. What is revealed to us then is that Fleabag was the one who had sex with her boyfriend. And then so Fleabag has all this guilt. Anyway, the freelancing aspect of it all is she has a cafe that she owns, and she had it with her friend. Now she has it on her own, and she's always struggling to make ends meet. The cafe's never busy, and she's like, how do I drum up business? What else is there? Oh, some people just come in and order like a coffee and then use her electricity, and she's just sitting there like, what are you doing?
Right.
So I feel like it's one of those shows where, although it's not specifically about freelancing, she definitely is a freelancer in the fact that she owns her own business.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you see her dealing with like life alongside having a business, and like how she tries to keep motivated and how she's always needing to borrow money from people. And it's just, it's very messy, very unpredictable. But, you know, I think the really unrealistic aspect of it all is that she constantly doesn't have anyone in there, but yet it keeps going. And I'm like, I don't know if that would happen. Like how, yeah, exactly. And also I feel like she lets her own personal life take over the running her business. So I just don't feel like that's how it would work in real life. It's like you don't have time to do all of that life stuff alongside having a business. Like I'm like, that's so not realistic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's my take on it.
Okay.
What have you got for us?
So creative freedom and passion, right? So in terms of like in the freelancing world, freelancers are depicted as passionate creatives the majority of the time, like say like writers and artists, photographers, like editors, these kinds of people, right? And like for me, Sex and the City is a great example of this. You've got Kerry Bradshaw, who's like this freelance writer. She writes for a column. She lives in this apartment in New York. Like, she's kind of got this kind of her like own terms kind of workflow where she's just like working when she needs to and then submitting. My stomach's going crazy. Can you hear it?
No.
It's like,
oh,
can you not hear it?
No. You should have had the popcorn I bought you.
I should have had the popcorn, but then you'd be like, you're making a mess. You're making a mess.
You always make a mess. Take it home with you.
So like, I do feel in a way it's depicted in a good way, Sex and the City, because she is a columnist and she does write when she wants because she is a freelancer, and she does pick and choose like her hours, so that's quite realistic, I think. The other side of it is obviously she does struggle in the series to like make ends meet because she has a huge shopping addiction to her.
I was going to say, doesn't she buy like Milanos or something?
Constantly.
Like I've not seen Sex and the City.
Milanos? I don't know. But I can't remember what the name is.
There is a name of the shoe.
Yeah, it's like a designer brand, but like she's obsessed with buying shoes, which I feel like this is me, but just generally with shopping. So I feel like it's unrealistic that she lives in this New York apartment and she's broke and then she's spending money on these designer items. Manolos. That's it. But she's trying to be a writer. So like, it's like, would you live in a city, in that kind of environment in New York, in a great apartment? Would you be able to afford that if you're like a struggling writer who's like a columnist essentially and just kind of starting out?
Probably not. And I also saw that. Did you ever see The Bold Type?
Yeah.
They are literally, but they are all like just starting out as journalists and like social media consultants, stylists, that kind of thing. They all live in these huge ass apartments in New York.
Yeah, because that's realistic.
Yeah, sure. And it's just like, it's so not like, they always show them having really nice houses in these, you know, or apartments in these shows. And it's like, that's not how it works, especially when you're like an entry level, like journalist or working in media. Like it's just not going to happen, is it? I think two of them share an apartment. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. Because one's a social media manager or something, isn't she?
That's, oh my God, what's her name? I really liked her. She had a really, really nice name.
Aisha D, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it here.
She's the social one.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She's the social one. Sutton.
That's it, Sutton.
What did she do?
She was a stylist, but she was an assistant at the start, and then she became a stylist.
Yeah, I remember that now.
And then what's the other one?
Jane Sloan.
Oh, that's it, Jane. And she was the journalist.
That's it.
I think what they do show well in that programme, though, because Jane gets rejected for a lot of pictures she gives, and then she like takes low pay work. I think at one point she leaves the magazine, doesn't she, and goes to work for this like independent magazine
because she wants to be able to write what she wants to write.
Yeah,
I feel like what she wanted to write she couldn't at that magazine.
Exactly, which I think is very true. Like I think that's a very realistic depiction.
But what's sad is what's like really sad is she's leaving her like environment with the friends that she's built, like her community, and trying and like going somewhere else because she needs to fulfill herself, but at the same time she loses her friendships in that way, you know, like she hasn't got like that workflow of like having a quick chat whilst you're making a coffee in the office kind of vibe like you would as a 9-to-5er. So I feel like that's quite realistic in the sense of like you have this community, but then like you move on after the project and you go somewhere else and you don't have that bond again, and
you feel a bit like lonely and like I have to meet new people and make new friends. Like I feel like that apart from the apartments, I feel like it's quite realistic. Definitely.
And also because they're showing like how they're building their careers and like the stages that they need to take to get there and all like the setbacks that they've got, because I think they believe that they're at a certain level already, but they have to prove themselves. Yeah.
And I love the boss. I can't remember her name either. Great. I'm great at explaining this.
So great.
So great. But she was like kick-ass. She was kind of like Miranda Priestley.
The Jacqueline,
that's it.
Carlisle.
And she was like, she taught Jane, didn't she, a little bit, like she put her down a few pegs.
Yeah, she did.
And then she'd give her a little like assignment that Jane actually wanted. And then she'd like go and like prove herself, and then Jacqueline would be like putting her in the place again. And I was like, I really like that dynamic. But talking of Miranda Priestley, that is something that I think, it's not a freelancing, but it definitely shows that kind of magazine environment again, where it's like cutthroat. You know, there's the boss and what's it called? Intern dynamic, assistant dynamic. I feel like that probably Devil Wears Prada definitely shows that there's like creative conflicts as well, and difficult clients that you can't ever please.
But also it's like that, like it depicts like a bit of that afraid mentality of like, you're new to the game, like you don't know how the business is running when you've got a boss above you, right? And then you have to kind of work to their flow, but you like don't want to do anything wrong, so like you're constantly second guessing everything and double checking things so that you don't upset anyone. So I feel like that's quite realistic in like any of those kind of environments, especially as a freelancer, when you're like, you've got a job and you want to make sure it's fulfilled in the way that the client wants.
Definitely.
And they could be difficult, like Miranda Priestley in Devil Wears Prada. Heard there's a second one coming.
I heard there's a second one.
Is it actually real? Because I don't know if it's like
I don't know.
AI thing.
I keep seeing loads of AI posters where Anne Hathaway has like 6 fingers.
Oh God, I haven't really looked that far, but great.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Apparently it is, but only time will tell. If it is, we have to go see it together. Just saying.
We should. Do you
want to say we should anymore?
He's so rude. I was going to say something about another. Like,
did you have a thought?
Obviously, always have thoughts.
First time for everything, Francesca.
I don't know, but yeah. So there's this whole thing about having this glamorous and flexible life as a freelancer, because it's like, oh well, you pick and choose your jobs, like you can work from anywhere kind of vibe, right? And I feel like something's happening to me today. Being overcome. Eat, Pray, Love, the film with Julia Roberts, where she goes on this journey to, is it Bali or somewhere?
Yeah, I think so.
Somewhere spiritual by the sea, to find herself again. And so it's like, you know, I think when people think about freelancing, they think, oh, well, we can work on the beach, or we can work from cafes in different countries because we can. Obviously, it depends on what freelance job you have. And I think that is somewhat realistic for some people.
Yeah, Amy Nicholson. Have you seen her?
She's a digital nomad.
She's in Bali at the moment, I think.
No, she's in the Philippines.
Is that where she is? I thought she was in Bali. Anyway, she's got a tan and I'm very jealous.
Yeah, she's been
and
there
she keeps
for, like,
posting
months.
pictures of the sea and I'm like,
so
stop
nice.
it.
So nice. In Siargao, that's where she is, in Siargao in the Philippines.
Love that.
But she's a digital nomad, and she literally works from cafes, and she's like able to travel and work in this exotic location. So I feel like for some people, it is realistic.
some freelancing jobs, absolutely. For ours, we can work from cafes in London.
Yeah.
You know.
Or like we could work abroad, like you could do your voice work from somewhere else, but if you had like a portable mic that you could take with you, right?
And I do, I have
you can
done
teach from,
like
Australia,
absolutely, like I did. Yeah.
I can do production stuff, I guess, from a different country, but like when it comes to the actual physical shoot,
you have to be there.
So it's like a kind of give and take. So I wouldn't say it's completely unrealistic, Eat, Pray, Love, but there's elements of it that's, you know, true. Especially if you're a writer and like you're traveling. I feel like for writers,
writing it's much easier
because you can travel, get inspiration from everywhere, and that's exactly what she does.
She did.
In Eat, Pray, Love.
I love that film.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Now let's talk about Joey and Friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he is a freelancer that I didn't even realise was a freelancer until I thought about this episode, and I thought, oh my god. Of course he's a freelancer. He's an actor. Yeah. He's always going on auditions. He's always got like odd He's always got odd jobs. Like at one point he works in Central Perk. Yeah. I remember him being an elf at Christmas. He worked in a perfume, like on a perfume counter in a like store or something, department store. Yeah. And it only clicked as I was thinking about this, was like, oh my god, he totally is. You know, he never has any money and he's always asking his friends, especially Chandler, for help. And
he pays the rent, like Chandler pays the rent for him because he can't afford it.
Yeah. And so I think that
is accurate.
Is very accurate
for most people.
And then he hits it big. He splurges his money on the apartment because he wants to pay Chandler back. which I think is more of just a personality trait than what you would actually do if you were a freelancer.
Yeah. But then again,
like, depends who you are.
When you first got like your first freelancer check, through like invoice paid, weren't you like, oh my god, like a little bit of a baller, like you wanted to kind of start splurging? I don't know. I did that.
Well, my first freelancing, I think I got like 150 quid. So it wasn't that much.
No.
It was a voiceover thing.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't like a huge...
But like if you ever when you landed like a better job,
yeah.
a better paid job.
Oh, yeah. I'm like...
oh, I can go treat myself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's me every day, unfortunately.
And how many savings do you have? How much do you have in savings?
I've got that ISA, you know.
Oh, you've got the ISA.
We keep bringing back the 5%.
5% nationwide.
Sponsored by Nationwide. I'm joking.
Yeah, I feel like that's... Well, it's true for some people, but not true for everyone.
Yeah.
But I think what is very true is he makes his friends go to like really low budget shows until he makes it big, and he always think that is going to be like his big break, is the biggest thing he's ever done or the best thing he's ever done. And let's be honest, we've done that. We've been there. Not to say I thought it was going to be my big break or anything, but I've definitely pulled my friends along to shows I've been in.
Yeah.
Or made them watch what I've been in.
That's what you got to do. You've got to like network. You've got to socialise with people as a freelancer to try and get people in the room and in the space. I think there's like episodes where he talks, like when he's auditioning for that soldier film that he's in, and he's like needing to pee in the audition and he can't pee. Do you remember that episode?
Yeah, where he drinks
like
all the...
desperate to pee and he can't, and they're like, wow, we love it, do it again.
Yeah.
So then the next time he comes in, he drinks a whole bit of water, and then he's like even worse, like bursting for the loo. Anyway, that director helped make a good sort of connection for him, because that got him into the film, which got him a bit more recognition. So it's like, again, meeting the right people, getting in the space with the right people, I think again is key as a freelancer. So that's kind of accurate.
I just remembered the episode where he does, it's one of the first like series where Ben's been born, they go to a commercial casting, and he goes along with them because Ben and Ross are going to be in this commercial, or like audition for this commercial, and he gets a bowl of noodle soup, but the line is soup. And he goes, noodle soup. Yeah. And then the casting director's like, no, the line is just, soup. And he's like, noodle soup. And then he just can't stop saying noodle soup. And then they're like, get out, like go, because it's not good, literally. And then the little kid's like, man, you're saying noodle again. Because the kid's like this like amazing commercial like actor kid. Yeah, very funny. So I love that show.
As a freelancer, I feel like you gain success through being your authentic self. So like if you make bold moves and creative decisions and stuff, and you're sticking to your guns with how you do things, I think people recognize you quite well. Like there's a film Julia and Julia, for example, and it's all about like how this woman like starts writing a food blog about her interest in food and where it derives from, and she just keeps at it with this blog, and then eventually she gets recognition through that, and she goes traveling, I think, to Italy or France, where she like starts like actually learning more about cooking and where it all came from.
Is that the one with Meryl Streep?
Yeah, Julie and Julia.
And Julia is like, wasn't she like, she made like coq au vin or something?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I remember it.
I think it's like a foreshadowing story.
Yes.
Like you've got Julie's story, and then Julia writes about Julie.
It. Yeah.
But anyway, in terms of that, like she just stuck to her guns and just like fulfilled what she wanted to in her writing and in her blogs, and it got recognition. So I feel like staying true to who you are as a freelancer will get you jobs anyway, because people will like know how you work, or like they'll like working for you because you work in a specific way, or you're really friendly with people, or you're personable. Like I think not changing yourself because you've seen someone else do things in a different way. Like you need to
sticking
stand
to your
out.
Guns.
Yeah.
And going, well, this is what I envisioned, so therefore I'm going to stay with that, regardless of what other people are doing. Yeah, I totally get you.
Yeah.
Not being swayed by other people's influence.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, did you ever see that programme Glow with the wrestlers?
I didn't.
On Netflix? Oh my God.
Is it good?
So good. So basically it's about a group of actors who are like out of work actors, and they go to this audition, but it's actually for a wrestling like girl troupe or something. I don't know if it's a troupe, but they all are like out of work actors basically, and they don't dream of going into wrestling, but they end up with the job because of the way they look. But I think the show really like highlights like typecasting and how there's like limited roles for women, which is how they end up going to this wrestling audition in the first place. And they basically have to learn how to be wrestlers, and it's more about the way they look as opposed to whether they're doing the moves right or whatever. I feel like it was of a time, I don't know what year it was, but it was like maybe like 60s or 70s, and it just shows how women were treated like as actors back then, and like the directors just didn't see them as professionals like at all. And
do you think that's how people see, like, do you think that's related to freelancing and like actors wanting to get into the industry?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think it's like, it's almost like if you're not working as an actor, can you call yourself an actor?
Yeah.
Like, it's
and, like,
that
will
thing.
People respect you
yeah,
will
people respect you? Exactly.
Because they always go, oh, what have you been in? Like, what have you done?
And I'm like,
can you not?
Have you not seen Not the 9 to 5 podcast?
Exactly.
It's huge.
It's massive.
It's the biggest freelancing podcast out there. So I don't know why you wouldn't have listened to it. But I think as well, like, he expects them to do so much work and he barely pays them anything. And then they get like upset about that because it's like, well, we're doing all this work but we're not getting paid. And I think that's how some clients view freelancers, is like, you can be replaced and someone else is always going to do the job for a cheaper price, which is terrible, but it's the truth of it. And he also doesn't let them make any like creative decisions, and I think that's how some clients are. Like, you can't be like, oh, I think if we did it this way. They're like, no. And you're like, but I thought you were hiring me for this project for a reason. But anyway, I feel like it really showed that kind of like acting working life, I suppose. And just they think it's going to be their big break by going on this show, you know, which is... It does turn out to be. They do end up very famous. But I feel like that's unrealistic because I'm like, would that ever happen for this low-budget wrestling show? You just don't know.
But that's the thing. It's the right place, right time.
Yeah, it's true. I also feel like they aren't desperate enough for money. Like, that's not that's unrealistic within the show. Is like, they get annoyed about the low-paying job or the low-paying job, but you don't see them doing a side hustle or waitressing or bartending. Or like them living in shitty apartments or anything like that. Real, like that is they live in a decent apartments in LA. Like, no, probably not.
I was actually just gonna like add like a little spanner in the works. You know, The Social Network? Have you seen it?
No.
It was about the development of Facebook.
No, I've not seen it.
Or essentially...
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg, like, created this, you know, Facebook system back in, I don't even know when, and he was, like, 14 or something, this guy who created Facebook and became, like, a millionaire overnight, essentially. And, like, the cool thing about that is that it showcases a young person who has a determined drive to actually create something that's, like... next level. That's cool. In the sense of like in the social media game, right? So it's like showing that entrepreneurial skill of like being business savvy and just really kind of like being self-motivated. And I feel like that can be quite realistic for some freelancers, because you are hustling constantly, you are trying to like develop stuff so that you can get work, right? And I feel like this guy is a good example in the film, showcasing like he has an idea, he has conviction and confidence in this setup of creating Facebook, that he ends up landing the jackpot from it, because he's constantly determined to create code that will change and revolutionize the future.
Does he fail a few times?
I think he does. Yeah, he has a few setbacks.
Because I do believe, like, in a lot of stories where someone's got an idea, and it's usually they're freelancers inadvertently because they've got an idea of creating something like Facebook or like a company or whatever.
Yeah.
And they always have those setbacks. I love it when films or TV programs show that, because it's so true. You're never gonna land the jackpot first time, but you will eventually if you keep going, if you keep along with your idea. It's like Killing Eve was rejected by pretty much every production studio until BBC America took it on,
and it's like the biggest BBC
like
show.
They must be kicking themselves.
Is it BBC?
Yeah, but it's BBC America, it's not BBC. The UK BBC didn't want it. It was BBC America.
Wild.
And I'm like, that is mad. Like, if you have an idea and you flesh it out well enough and you keep going and you keep tweaking it until it becomes the thing that it was always meant to be, and you keep believing in it, it's like, it will happen. And I love when a TV program or like a film will do that, or a book. We haven't really spoken about books, but
I was going to say, don't let the setbacks set you back. You know, in the process.
Don't let the setbacks set you back. Another wonderful quote from our Francesca Marago.
Thank you so much.
So just before we end this episode, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about how books portray it. So I've got 2 examples here.
Let's go.
The first one is Lisbeth Salander. I think that's how you pronounce it. Salander. Yeah. From The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Did you ever read it? Yeah. So she was a freelance hacker and investigator. They made it into a film, I think. They did, with Claire Foy.
That's it.
Claire Foy. Love Claire Foy.
Yeah.
Lisbeth was brilliant at what she did, but she was very like isolated, and she took on freelance investigative work for a journalist. I don't know, I've never met anyone who does this job, so I can't really say whether it's true to life or not, but she puts herself in very dangerous situations. Like, really, really dangerous. Like,
do you think freelancers put themselves in dangerous situations? Like,
no.
But like, you could say when it comes to like working with people that you've not worked before, and like risking not being paid because like agreements haven't been hashed out or like the details of the job hasn't been spoken about.
But that's why you put a contract in place.
Exactly. But like
if it hasn't,
but like some freelancers, like it is kind of a little bit dangerous because you are putting your work on the line for exposure, and then getting someone to review it, but with no guarantee per se of you being paid for it. Do you know what I mean? If you've never worked for them before.
Yeah, kinda.
Like, that could be a danger in that way.
Yes,
Not
but
like,
I don't think a danger in the way Lisbeth Salander did it. She was like exposing corruption and shit like that. So I don't think we're like, I personally never met a freelancer that does that. No. But, you know, there are like hackers out there and whatever, you know, like, I mean, I get in my inbox every single day, like, you've won a £10 voucher for Amazon. And I'm like, no, I haven't. Yeah. Please go away. Yeah. x125@gmail.com. Thank you. They're the rubbish hackers. Lisbeth Salander, good hacker. And then also, did you ever read Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn?
No.
I love Gillian Flynn. So she wrote... did she write The Girl on the Train?
Oh, yeah.
No, that was Paula Hawkins. Oh, sorry. Gillian Flynn wrote... Anyway, she wrote Sharp Objects. She's written a lot of books, but the names of them... Oh, she wrote Gone Girl. Gone Girl. Gone Girl. That was it.
Yeah,
she wrote Gone Girl.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. But Camille Preaker is a freelance journalist, another freelance journalist. Yeah. She's a crime reporter. Okay. That's what she does. And she's sent on a mission to... assignment, not a mission. She's not a spy.
It's not impossible.
But she... Sorry, I just spat everywhere. She's sent on an assignment to investigate a string of murders in her hometown, a place she's tried to escape. Now, I feel like it represents, like, in the book, it like shows that typical like freelance journalist who goes and chases the stories and like you know, will put themselves in a dangerous situation. Like, if you're a crime reporter, like you will be putting yourself in that dangerous situation of like trying to uncover what's going on. I feel like though it's probably not as realistic. Like, she really gets entrenched into the whole story.
Right.
Like, mentally, physically, emotionally. Yeah. It is realistic in the sense that it shows that typical freelancer journalist who's like always chasing the next job, always chasing a story, like no job security. She gets what she's given and she goes after it. She doesn't have control of where she's sent. She just has to go to the job.
Yeah.
But I feel like the story, the massive story behind it is probably not that realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But it does show that typical freelance journalist. So yeah, that's my take on books and how they show freelancers.
Okay.
But I think, how would you sum up, if you were to put a little summary on this episode, Francesca, what would you say?
It's a good question. That's a good question. I feel like freelancing pop culture is changing and ever changing all the time, the way that we work, like the systems that we use to work, who we meet, how people want to invest in projects nowadays. So it's like, I feel like you should just always be yourself, number one. Try and keep up with whatever the ever changing trends and grind is, and make yourself flexible in like what you offer. Stop comparing yourself to other people though. Like, don't let that imposter syndrome come in and go, well, Kat's doing, I don't know, like she's doing lots of voice work and I'm not doing lots of voice work, so I'm shit and she's good. Like, I feel like there's no point in comparing that, because again, we're two different people with two different voices, with two different styles of voice work that we do, and there can't be a comparison because we're just different. And I think if you just be true to yourself and believe in yourself, things will be a lot easier.
Like, it takes so much more time and energy to think bad about yourself than it does to think good about yourself.
Exactly, because everyone relates to like that negative thing rather than, oh, what's the positive thing that I did? What is it that I provide that someone else doesn't provide? Or how can I upscale myself to be more,
exactly,
I don't know, business savvy or more employable to other companies, right, as a freelancer? Definitely. Lovely little roundup. Thank you for that. Okay. We hope that's helpful for you guys.
We do, and we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Not the 9 to 5 podcast. If you liked this episode, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel, where we release weekly podcasts every Monday. Comment below to let us know who you'd like to see next on our podcast. Give this video a thumbs up and maybe share it with a freelance friend or two. Until next week, everyone, keep freelancing.